Business Brain, episode 608 for Wednesday, December 18th. Answer the telephone like Buddy the Elf Day. What's your favorite color? 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take some ideas and we crunch them, we dissect them, we use them to help tune our business brains each and every time we get together, which is usually twice a week. Our sponsor for this episode is Vanta.com/brain. Vanta automates your compliance for your ISO 27001, your SOC 2, your GDPR, and you can save $1,000 at Vanta.com/brain. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And I'm still out here in Northern California. We had a tornado out here over the weekend. Kind of crazy.
Amazing. Really?
Yeah. Flipped cars over and
serious?
serious stuff. Yeah. It was crazy. About an hour from me. It's down there, Santa Cruz, which you probably been in Scotts Valley. I thought that was pretty wild. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Wow.
Neither here nor there, but it's kind of interesting.
No, tornadoes. When we lived in Texas, we saw a couple of them. We were there about 6 years. Saw a couple of them. But we moved there in April, and when we moved into our house, the only thing that we brought a TV with us. And the only reason I brought a TV in the car and not put it in the moving van was because I knew we were going to get cable hooked up like the day after we moved in and or the day after we arrived. And I knew that the moving van, and also I figured, well, we're going to be sleeping on the floor in sleeping bags until our stuff gets here. Might not be a bad idea to have a TV.
True.
And so there we are laying on the floor of our living room in sleeping bags and our TV with cable, and watching tornado warnings scroll across the bottom.
Man, welcome to Texas.
Every single night. Yeah, and we didn't know that this was just like, you'll
normal.
get used to this, buddy. But there were a couple, and the sky changed color, as anybody who's seen a tornado knows. Like, I remember driving once and seeing the sky in front of me change color. I was heading to an appointment, and I was like, yeah, I'm turning around. Home is behind me. That's a weird...
Texas weather is crazy.
I've never seen that color in nature before, and I'd rather see it in the rearview mirror. Yep.
I've had to pull over with the hail and get under an underpass because it was like so bad one day. I'd never seen it. It's like my car was being pummeled with rocks. I'd never seen it before. It was nuts. It was crazy.
It's not common for you to have these out in California,
no,
right?
No, first ever. First ever tornado warning that I've ever seen. We had in the last 2 weeks, we've had a tsunami warning and a tornado warning.
I knew. Yeah,
tsunami didn't go anywhere, but they have it automatic. If the earthquake happens off the coast, it does it. But I guess it was a different kind of earthquake. But the tornado definitely happened. But
hey,
this is not
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Do we all still need business cards with our businesses?
I have. So I love business cards, but my take on it is you should design them to be like multi-purpose, like a calling card that's a little different than just a business card.
Tell. And I asked this question, and I want to know. I want to hear your thoughts, because I don't have business cards for this podcast. We've never done them. But I also
There's my
don't
card
have
right there. I'm holding it up for those of you listening in your car.
Oh, we're going to describe that in a minute.
Yes.
But I also don't have business cards for GigGab, and I am heading in January to a trade show for GigGab.
That's perfect.
But I want to hear about this calling card versus business card thing.
Yeah, I think the traditional business card, you have your phone number, name, all that kind of stuff. But I think the calling card or I don't know if that encompasses everything I'm going to say, but the way I use the cards is any different way. If you go to a trade show, you're promoting your show, your podcast, whatever, you're handing that out. It needs to be designed in such a way that it really is useful and adds value to people. Not just, here's my info and this is my name, whatever. Right. They just throw that stuff away. Got to be a reason to keep it. And I love cards, making this calling card, something you can throw in a box, something you can send in part of a thank you card, something you can include in a gift. If you're sending this time of year, you're sending out company gifts or whatever, I put my card in every single one. Yep. So I designed, like mine that I just held up, mine is a little square. It's not a normal. It actually is designed not to really fit in your wallet, right? Or because who carries a card around like that anymore? That's from a bygone era. right?
Well,
and then
okay.
I think that's my take.
I have an answer for your question. But,
Perfect.
But it's probably an exception. So
Yep. And then on the back of the card, I don't think it's so tiny you can't see it. But
doesn't matter. Most people won't be seeing it.
Yes, that's
they're
right.
listening.
That's right. Don't pull over and you can watch this.
It's a square card that you've got, not a rectangular card.
Yeah, and it is a little bigger. Like this is a normal business card. You see, it's bigger. So if you see that, and so I like that.
So it's bigger. It's taller than a normal business card by about 30%.
Yeah.
And it is also that same width. It's square.
Correct. It will fit in a wallet or purse, that kind of thing. But it's kind of made to, stand out. And my whole thing is I use it for just communication. It's like, here's how to find me. Here's how, and I don't have anything on it. It just says founder. Okay, that's it. It's vague. But when I want to connect with someone that I'm in person, I want them to remember something, and it's bright yellow and it's gray and it's I like the design. And I love that design language, those colors. I use them all over the place. So I like that idea. I like handing them out to, it's whatever. So my answer is I go in the yes column that we still need them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I go in the yes column as well, but the only time that I hand out business cards is at conferences or trade shows.
Okay.
It's rare that I do otherwise. And when I do, it serves several purposes. So I actually have some, I don't know why, I have a stack of Mac Geek Gab cards here in my studio. This is not something that one would ever need, like in this room. I never would need to give a business card in this room. Why I have like 100 of them here, it's beyond me. But I still have them as very standard business cards. And these have my contact information and also have my shipping address on them.
Oh, I like that.
Well, because when I go to conferences, a lot, not everybody, but a lot of the people that I meet with are vendors with products that I'm interested in that they want to ship to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Right. And I know a lot of people, like when we had Mac Observer, people like, well, I don't want to put my address on my business card. And it's like, I get that. Like, I understand privacy. I'm a freak about that stuff. However, from a convenience standpoint, this changes everything for me because I don't have to oh no, did you spell that? And make sure it's New Hampshire, not North Carolina, because there's a Durham there too. And so the business cards, I often, even if I'm meeting with someone that I already know, I will often offer them a business card. And I make a joke about it. I'm like, you want me to give you one of these? I already have everything on there memorized, right? Like, I don't need it. I already have everything because it's true, right? Like, I know my address and all that stuff. But I give it to people, and I will often even say, just to remind you that we met here.
That's really good. I like that.
I do the same thing because I'll get a stack of cards and I'll go back to my hotel room or on the plane or the train home or whatever, and I will log every one of those cards. Hopefully the night of whatever event it was that I met people at, because I still have a fresh memory. I take notes in my notes app too, but I still have a fresh memory about, oh yeah, we met, we talked about this thing, and I log those notes in my thing. And if there's a follow-up, I do that right there. So I'm not waiting 3 weeks to do a follow-up on something from a trade show. So,
that's nice.
Yeah, I think they're valuable. I think they're useful.
I do too.
And I'm have them made up for GigGab too.
Yeah, I have a couple of other ways I've used them. One thing I would say is if you're going to get them, get a good quality card that feels good in your hand. And that's subjective. It could be a thick paper that feels good. Mine is kind of a glossy or matte finish, but it feels silky.
I always say they got to have a little bit of a thwack.
Oh, I like that.
That's my card making
I
that
like
noise.
that. That's good.
They got to have a little thwack.
Yeah. We have, as I've mentioned on the show before, we own vacation rentals. And so at each vacation rental, we have cards for the other vacation rentals that we also own. So there's a picture of the other house, and on the back, there's the logo, and there's the link. Here's how you can book our other properties. So we have a little rack of these cards, and at each house, you have the different ones, as well as the house you're staying at. And we find people take them all the time. And they'll say, oh, a friend of mine gave me this card. They stayed at your house. So that works great. The other way I love doing them is make them a coupon card to toss in a box to give people, if you're shipping orders. I'm a reseller. I've always shipped everything every day. Toss them in the box. They have a 20% off, whatever. People hang on to those cards. And the last way we've done it is when I've had salespeople visiting physical locations. One of the things we always tell them to do is get up and ask to use the restroom. And when you go to the restroom, either walk by the break room, and we have the cards, but they're a magnet, and you go and stick your card on the refrigerator. And then you go to the bathroom. And it's just always away. You've left it, and the magnet stays on that fridge. And the guy's like, I went back like a year later, and it was still there. I'm like, of course it's still there. That they just leave it there. So being creative, it's like everything else. Be creative with it. Make them stand out a little different. And I think cards are definitely valuable.
Hey, I want to take a second and tell you something. If you're out there grinding, building your business, and dreaming of landing those big customers, security compliance isn't just a buzzword. It can be your golden ticket. But here's the rub. Getting your SOC 2 or your ISO 27001 certifications, it's like trying to wrestle a bear in a tuxedo. That's where our sponsor Vanta comes in. Vanta automates the manual, soul-sucking security tasks that slow you down so you can focus on building and shipping. Think of it as your compliance co-pilot, helping you get audit ready fast while still living that charmed life we all aim for. Vanta connects you to VCISOs, auditors, and even pen testers, all the essentials to make compliance easy. Join over 8,000 companies that trust Vanta, from scrappy startups to growth powerhouses and everything in between. Simplify your compliance and get $1,000 off at vanta.com/brain. That's VANTA.com/brain. Stop wrestling bears. Start closing deals. Vanta.com/brain for $1,000 off. And our thanks to Vanta for sponsoring this episode. I joke that I use ChatGPT to write my ad scripts so that I can keep them fresh.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a joke. I mean, it's true. I do that, and I tell it to add something in that's like a little bit of an Easter egg so that we can kind of all listen and find out what ChatGPT is going to make me say. I have no recollection of saying, "Stop wrestling bears." And yet I know that I said it because I recorded that ad spot an hour before we did the show. So
that's funny.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
That's cool. I want to talk about one of my favorite topics.
What's that?
And that's action.
Oh, I love action.
Yeah, me too. We always talk about, but in the context of, we're getting towards the end of the year, and I've been on a few calls today and yesterday, and I've heard this on almost every call. Well, we're getting ready to do this next year. After the new year.
No.
And I try to stop people and say, "What? Why wait? Today's the 17th. You've got, days and days and days, and then you've got time in between the holiday and everything else. And if you're going away or whatever, I get it, but."
Even if you are going away, think about, is that a good reason to delay taking whatever action you're about to delay? Yeah. It might be, but ask yourself that question. It's so funny you brought this up. I did this to myself yesterday.
Oh, I've done it too.
Yeah, I was like, well, I can wait until tomorrow to do this. That's fine. And I was like, no, just do it now. It's going to take 10 minutes to start this process here. And who knows what dividends it'll pay by doing it now as opposed to tomorrow. Or am I going to be derailed tomorrow because I got a doctor's appointment in the morning, and do it now. Yeah,
do it now. It is, I just run up against it over and over and over. Stop planning and just do something. And that doesn't mean be reckless, but get something to move you forward. It could be, I've this next thing that's part of your plan or whatever, but stop revising your plan and don't wait until January, right? Start now, start on the 18th, tomorrow night, and I often say on these coaching calls, I'm like, hey, your new hobby is making money, not watching Netflix or chilling out, tonight in the couch, or if you're going to chill on the couch, it's great, but have your laptop in front of you and you're researching things because this is how you're going to do this, and over and over. So
I find,
don't delay.
It's funny. You correctly have said to me and anybody who will listen to you for years, if you're looking for extra time to build a business, your first question that you ask somebody is, do you watch TV at night? And I love that question because we all know where it's
I watch
going.
TV, of course.
I just found 3 hours for you every single day. Like, it just Monday through Friday. I got
it's
you
low-hanging
15
fruit.
hours.
Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit.
Right, it's low-hanging fruit. I do often, not every night, but I often will watch TV at night, and my laptop is next to me. The Apple M series laptops are the first where I actually use it on my lap on the couch. It doesn't get hot.
It doesn't get hot, yeah.
Yeah. So it's relatively recently, last 5 to 10 years, that I've been actually having a laptop on the couch. I mean, I would always have one around, but I use it a whole lot more. And what I find, though, is that watching TV time with my laptop right there, I'll do something. I'll, have some idea or whatever and do something, or have something that I know I need to do, and I'll do it. And then I'll fold up my laptop and kind of put it down next to me.
Yeah.
And that time of watching TV, that's what I call it brain percolation time, right?
I like
where
it.
there's stuff happening in the background, kind of like driving or showering, or certainly any like actively meditating or anything like that. But it's that meditative time where my brain just kind of gets to percolate, and every now and then something bubbles up. It's like, oh, yes, right. And I grab my laptop and I do the thing, or at least log a to-do, or even just do it, to our point here. But like that TV time is something that I have learned how to make valuable. But it's because I have this bias towards action.
Yeah, you got to be intentional about it.
Right now.
Yeah. The idea of me going downstairs to hang out for a couple hours and watch something in the evening, that's great. Relax, chill out. But the idea of me walking down there without my computer, no, I just can't even do it. I'll be like, oh, I got to go get my thing. Because to your point, sometimes ideas or action items, things you need to do, they come at you kind of sideways, right? Mm-hmm. And you can do this with your phone too, if you're, and I do it with my phone as well, of course. But being able to research and look for things, and you just never know where this stuff comes from. So, if otherwise, cut it out. Just don't watch that stuff and get to work and work at night. And we've talked on the show a bunch of times about companies we've started at night, and I've got
most of them. Most of
exactly.
them.
Exactly.
That's when you start a company, is at night.
Yes.
When you're not doing the other companies that you have, or your day job, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't even. This is a moment of privileged, charmed life. I have a computer here in the studio. It's a Mac studio. That's fine. I have a computer downstairs in my office. It's a Mac Mini. It's fine. And then I have my M2 laptop. And that, unless I'm traveling, the couch is where that computer lives.
Yeah,
so I don't bring my computer to the couch. I go to the couch, and there's my computer charging from the night before.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
Great. Yeah.
And there, if you want to really, if you want to live an uncommon life, if you want to have, build wealth and have freedom and flexibility at being an entrepreneur, yes, it's brutal sometimes. It's like chewing glass, but a lot of times it's not.
Sometimes.
Yes, it totally sucks. But if you want
sometimes.
Sometimes. If you want to build that, you have to do uncommon things. And almost every night after dinner, I walk back up to my office because I'm like, well, unless I have something else going on, it's like I can get another hour and a half in and get some stuff done. I write a lot. I plan my next day. I look at my calendar schedule, and I love it. I really enjoy it, and I feel, privileged or whatever, blessed
sure.
that I get an opportunity to do that. Now, I didn't do that when I had little kids because you were involved with them.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, I've got some time. I can, you have to carve out that time, especially if you're, you want to create a side hustle, you want to do something different, but it's action, consistent. Every single day, you should be able to check something off. It doesn't have to be huge. It could be a small thing. I researched this. I made this. I wrote this. I wrote one page. Every person, every client I talk to, I am like, hey, I encourage you to write one page a day. And I talked about it last week, I think. You can write about anything you want. There's only one rule. You have to share it with someone. And so, that's it. And it just kind of keeps you accountable. And you tell people, I'm going to write one page a day. You can share it with anybody. And share it online. I don't care. Share it with your spouse or whatever. But that's action. And it's like, you get your gears going. You get your motor running.
Yes.
And that's a lot of it is not the fact of what you achieve. It's your achieving. And you get used to achieving, and that's the road to success.
That's the trick is, just making sure you're doing something and inching forward every day. Yep. Yeah.
You got it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool. So, if you have tips on keeping focused and action, let us know. Feedback at businessbrain.show. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have a review. If 5 people out of the thousands are going to listen to this episode left us a review, it would be an amazing Christmas present for Dave and I.
Businessbrain.show/review. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you in advance for reviewing the show. We love it. We love it. Keep living that charmed life. We'll see you on Friday.
See ya.